It's 6:45. It's time for our CIC Board of Directors meeting to get underway for December the 7th, 2021. First on the agenda, Mr. Warwick, would you call the roll?
Mr. Porter?
Present.
Mr. Weedman?
Present.
Mr. James?
Here.
Mr. LaBarbera?
Here.
And I am present.
And first item on the agenda, the approval of the September 21st, 2021 CIC meeting minutes.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? No discussion with that?
Mr. Porter?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. LaBarbera?
Aye.
Aye. Vote aye.
And now the executive director's report. Mr. Warwick.
We funded the CIC with $100,000 again this year, and to date we have granted $95,631, and so we have a small balance of $4,369. That should probably get us through the next 2 weeks.
Okay, any discussion? Any questions? Mr. Weedman?
I have no questions on that.
Mr. James?
I don't have any questions on that resolution.
Okay, now the resolution. You have a resolution for us, Mr. Warwick?
Yeah, we have two. The first one is the resolution establishing a grant program and for next year, and it's providing clarity on that 3-year look back. So we've got it in here expressly now, so that there's no confusion that a resident can only go back 3 years. They can't go back any further. So that was the change to this particular resolution.
Before we move on with that resolution, so I came in here tonight to sign a check, and I found that there was a request for a refund or a grant, a CIC grant, in the amount of I don't remember, it was 500 or something, but it was for 2017, and that is in clear violation of our resolution that we passed. We passed our resolution when we first set up the joint economic development zones. It was per ORC 715.691, and if you go to 715.691 and you look specifically at that, you will see that it references all tax both collection and refunds under section 718. Well, if you go to section 718, there are a number of subgroups in section 718. And in section 718.91, it is refund applications. And it statutorily says that there is a 3-year limit on refunds in the state of Ohio. It's not even set by the municipality. It's set by statute in the Ohio Revised Code. So to suggest that we didn't advise somebody of that, that's like saying ignorance of the law is no excuse. I mean, I really can't help these people, but we should not be going back 6. And then when I asked Debbie about the check, she told me we have 2 people. One was 6 years, one was 7 years, and that's completely contrary to what our resolution, the original resolution we passed, section 715.69, that was dictated by 715.691. We should not be doing that. And so I told her, take the check out of there, because I think we should have a discussion about this before we start sending out checks to people that are 6 and 7 years old. That's wrong. I mean, the resolution clearly states it.
When this whole thing came up, I referred it to the law director and he had a problem with the language, and he is the one that said we should go ahead and honor these and then fix the documents.
Well, by honoring that, we set a serious precedent that I don't think we want to follow, number one. Number two, if you read the resolution, section 718, or section 715.691 refers to section 718 in the Ohio Revised Code, which clearly dictates in 718.91 the refund procedure and policies in the state of Ohio under the Ohio Revised Code. So to suggest that we were not following the rules or that it wasn't clear, I don't think is the right thing for us to be doing.
Yeah, I think we need to have that discussion with Mr. Desai.
Okay.
He's the one that gave the instructions.
I'm totally good with that. I'm totally good with that. But I'm just telling you that the Ohio Revised Code is it's contrary to what the Ohio Revised Code says. So,
I understand.
That's good. And I can tell you, I went back and looked at our resolutions too and talked with Mr. Desai about it. The resolutions weren't as clear after the initial one because of the ones on follow-on years, but this is good to know. So,
but
yes,
this
we
is,
definitely-
I went back to
look at this.
2013.
Right, I went back to the original one as
Yeah.
well. But we should definitely hold the check and figure this out. We shouldn't pay
Yeah.
it if we don't need to pay it. I agree. So, yeah.
And I guess the other thing is that it probably wasn't a decision to be made by Mr. Desai. It was probably a decision to be made by this board, because we are the CIC board. And so we should have reviewed that before any checks were sent out, even if Mr. Desai suggested it was a good idea to send a check out, or that he thought it was a great idea to send it, whatever it was. This board should have reviewed that prior to any checks being sent out, is my point.
Okay, understand. Is this, the way this is written now, okay? You want me to-
Yes. Yes.
A resolution establishing a grant program for Sycamore Township residents who reside in Sycamore Township and work in Sycamore Township Joint Economic Development Zones.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Warwick?
Mr. LaBarbera?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Mr. Porter?
Aye.
And I believe there's another resolution.
There is. This is a resolution setting the meeting dates, and they'll be on the same night as we do the JED meetings, and it's, the dates are listed there, as they typically have been. Resolution reads, resolution setting meeting dates and times of Sycamore Township CIC, Inc.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. LaBarbera?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Mr. Porter?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Any further discussions?
Which resolution were you looking back to, Tom? I am curious. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
It was the resolution that we passed in 2013. It had that same language in referencing 715.691, which was the original language. If you go to 715.691, you'll find that it's the original language that the Ohio Revised Code set forth to set up a joint economic development zone. And
Right.
in that 715.691, it specifically refers to that all of the taxation will be dictated by 718, which is the part of the tax code for municipalities. And when you go down to 718.91, it specifically has a section for refunds and refund procedure. And so if you follow that trail, you will see that in 718.91, it specifically says that there's a statutory limitation of 3 years. So it's not even set forth by the municipality, it's set forth by the Ohio Revised Code that says 3 years.
Right, but the code speaks as to tax refunds, and of course, these CIC grants are not legally tax refunds. That's why I'm
That's correct, but
Right.
what we originally adopted the tax code of
Yeah.
of our partner, whether it was Madeira or whoever it was,
Right.
we adopted their tax code, and their tax codes, all three of them, all say the same thing, that they are 3 years.
Right.
3-year
So-
limit, so
My
that being.
question was just, do you have the resolution number handy? Because I want to make sure
No, but
that
I can get it to you.
Okay, yeah, share it with the board, please. Thanks.
My only comment on this is that I hope we do a good job in letting people know about this.
Who seconded the first one, do you remember?
I think
Was
Jim
it-
did.
Lamar.
Okay. All right. I move we adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. There's the first one, I didn't get the second one.
You got this. Who's got the second resolution?
Just right next to Jim.
Oh.